David and Goliath story in sports is as old, as cliche, and as epic as there is. A matchup between two teams that feels so unfair, uneven, and likely uneventful that the final result is practically preordained. The football Goliath is stronger, more talented, more explosive, and has experienced tons of success in the biggest of moments, while the opponent is weaker, very little national recognition, and has so little success in big moments because, well, they haven't been there in 33 years. The Kansas City Chiefs Cincinnati Bengals championship game matchup wasn't quite David vs. Goliath, that is, until the game started. The Chiefs quickly became the Goliath, exploding out of the gate, dropping 3 touchdowns on the first 3 drives of the game, going up 21-3 in what looked like an actual walk in the park. Mahomes started the game 16 for 18 for 176 yards, passing for all 3 touchdowns, and at that point, it was going to take a freaking miracle for the Bengals just to not get blown out, but then David started to fight back. The Chiefs didn't score another touchdown, they didn't score another point until 3 seconds left in regulation. Mahomes went 8 for his next 21 for just 99 yards and 2 picks on top of that, and the Bengals stormed all the way back to beat Goliath 27-24. This game was over. Nobody beats the Chiefs in the playoffs, and no franchise, especially the Cincinnati Bengals, comes back down 21-3. But it happened, it's real, and it was spectacular. Games always come down to adjustments, and this game came down to one particular adjustment against one particular concept. Before we look at what that concept is and why the Chiefs use it so much, I want to thank this week's sponsor, Built Bar, which is one of my favorite sponsors I've ever had. Built Bar is the world's best tasting protein bar that comes in 18 permanent flavors. It has all the guilt-free benefits of a healthy protein bar, gluten-free, no preservatives, low calories, low carbs and fat. All those numbers are actually some of the lowest on the market, but here's the kicker. Built Bars taste fantastic. I'm used to protein bars that taste dry, chalky, no flavor, or just weird flavor that just is basically gross in my mouth. But Built Bar legit tastes like a mouth-watering candy bar. My favorite flavor is coconut since it tastes like one of my go-tos, Almond Joys, and the cookies and cream is unbelievable because it reminds me of these milkshakes I used to get when I was younger. You can buy boxes that ship right to your door where you can customize a box to get exactly what you want, order just one flavor if you're in love, or get a 12-bar mix box if you're trying to feel out a bunch of different flavors. If you want to try it out and get a 10% discount on any order, all you have to do is click the link in the description box or use my code AlexNFL10. But before you do that, let's talk about the Chiefs and remember some of the episodes we've done on this channel detailing their adjustments to 2-high coverages this season. Early in the year, they struggled against these 2-high shells, and then later they improved in the latter half. And since they faced 2-high coverages at one of the highest rates this year, and way more than ever before, Andy Reid needed new-ish concepts to attack this different type of coverage, so he started calling the bounce concept more than ever. The bounce concept is good against 2-high coverages because of the stress it puts on the Mike linebacker. Teams like to create vertical stretches on a specific defender, forcing him to choose between either this quick dig route or this shallow whip route underneath. If Logan Wilson, who's not a very good coverage linebacker, charges forward to stay in front of Tyreek Hill, Hill has the option to whip back out, which would be tough to cover, plus Mike Hilton would be out-leveraged on the dig. If Wilson sits back for the dig, Hilton has to cover a ton of ground if Hill keeps going underneath, or he has to rally up to make a tackle in space. The bounce concept is used more against 2-high coverages instead of 1 because of exactly where the dig is hitting. In 1-high, that safety is in the middle of the field and he could interfere. This play is a good example of the Chiefs' quick pass heavy game plan, which helped keep them on schedule early, but is also a good example of the roots of the Bengals game plan and how they would adjust as the game went on. They used rush 3, drop 8 coverages on 35% of pass plays, and here we can see why. When the Chiefs use this formation, Travis Kelce is matched one-on-one on a linebacker, Jermaine Pratt, so Kelce can just run an option route by going in or out, which is impossible for Pratt to cover. So their plan is to have a defensive end drop back, creating a pseudo-double team on Kelce while playing man with Pratt and the corner outside. This means that Wilson would have to carry Hill all the way across the field, so you can see why this puts so much stress on each of the defenders, especially poor Mr. Wilson. The Chiefs' plan was to attack him and Jermaine Pratt by isolating them in coverage as much as possible, and when they left Pratt one-on-one against a Kelce option route without dropping 8, it was pretty much impossible for him to keep up. Besides using the bounce concept in the first half, the Chiefs and Mahomes had some good success breaking the pocket and extending the play. So sometimes when the Bengals played drop 8, they'd use one of their linebackers to spy Mahomes and follow him wherever he went. But here and there they had breakdowns in coverage, or Mahomes just did crazy Mahomes things. Here is again the Bengals 2-high coverage with Wilson sitting for Hill knowing he has to try and beat him across the field while simultaneously knowing he can whip back out. Plus look at how Hilton is completely out-leveraged on the dig if he didn't have help from the safety, and that's just cause we're in the red zone. Wilson on Hill is a losing proposition, even though he limited the bigger gain, so the Bengals made some minor tweaks, but that didn't come without a few growing pains. At the end of the first half, with the score 21-10, the Chiefs have the bounce concept all ready to go, but since he's trying something different. They are in man coverage, but instead of dropping a defensive end to help on Kelce, they're bringing one of their safeties, Vonn Bell, down to bracket him, which means they're playing 1 high, and are dropping their defensive end linebacker hybrid type guy Sam Hubbard to spy Mahomes, so he doesn't keep running around like he's Willie Hayes. The bounce concept isn't as effective against man coverage since the Bengals can get closer and contact the receivers, so that part of the plan works. However, the very next play, the plan doesn't work very good at all when the Chiefs realize they're getting the 1-high coverages they so covet. The Bengals are again playing man and again using Vonn Bell to drop down to help on Kelce, but when you don't put a safety over the top of Hill, and we saw this exact thing happen last year, Week 12 against the Bucs, the Chiefs run what's called a special route where he can attack all this space over here. When he sees where Jesse Bates is, he converts his route a bit flatter, and the Chiefs pick up their biggest gain of the day. They kept this drive going by pushing all the way down the field near the end of the half, but then had some weird play calling and execution at the goal line where they came away with nada. But still, 21-10 and getting the ball back at halftime after they were absolutely rolling, this game felt over. But the Bengals doubled their drop 8 coverage usage from the first to second half and made another adjustment. To help out on the bounce concept, they basically stayed in their 1-high coverage but now played zone, used Vonn Bell as a robber to help on the quick dig route, and once again dropped their end to help bracket Kelce. Now Wilson can comfortably sit down for the shallow whip without worrying about the dig, and Hilton doesn't have to worry about anything in front of him or getting beat inside. This goes for a first down, but Mahomes' yards per attempt and completion percentage started plummeting from here on out. One play later, on 2nd and 7, the Chiefs try making an adjustment of their own to attack the Bengals adjustment. That's a lot of adjustments, and around this time is really when the tide started to turn. The Bengals are dropping 8 with the end to Kelce, are rotating Bell down towards the bounce side and Bates deep, but since the Chiefs just saw Wilson follow the whip underneath and Bell taking the deeper dig, they try running what's basically a levels concept, assuming Bell will take Pringle deep and Hill will slide in behind Wilson. But he understands when both clear vertical that he needs to gain depth, and with Hubbard helping with Kelce on the double team, then coming back to spy Mahomes, now the Bengals are really starting to cook. A few minutes later, they finally settle into their new game plan and have the Chiefs' offense almost completely figured out. Their adjustments have trumped the Chiefs' adjustments, and there's no better example than this play right here. It's the same drop 8, double the Kelce side, rotate to 1-high with Bell coming down towards bounce, and the Bengals now know literally exactly what's coming. Wilson is ready to carry Pringle if he needs to, but is also anticipating he'll come back outside on the whip. Hilton is now inside of Hill to protect the quick throw, but is going to race upfield to bracket Pringle, and Bell is zooming towards Hill with Bates over the top of all of it. Mahomes clutches, because nobody is open, and Hubbard chases after him, forcing the incompletion. The Bengals were able to limit the Chiefs' early down stuff and cover up their underneath gimmies, which led to one of the biggest plays of the game. For whatever reason, the Chiefs threw just a couple of RPOs all day, and this, unfortunately for them, was one of them. Here is their favorite RPO where they have a stick concept, and based on a certain defender's movement, that determines whether Mahomes passes or hands it off to the running back. Remember, RPO means the O-line is blocking run no matter what. So if the QB holds the ball too long, they risk their O-lineman getting too far downfield, which can result in an illegal man downfield penalty. So if you can get Mahomes to clutch the ball, that can become a flag, or even better, a horrible decision. He sees the Bengals only have one defender, Mike Hilton, for his 2 receivers, so it appears he's reading Wilson. When he doesn't fly over, Mahomes goes to throw, but as they've been doing all game, the Bengals drop their D-end, which happens to be right into the window, which creates that hesitation, and then somehow, Big Daddy BJ Hill makes a miraculous interception. The Bengals use the same exact call, which almost created an interception to end the game in overtime, but Eli Apple dropped it. And then the actual interception in overtime came, interestingly enough, on Jet Chip Wasp, the iconic play that basically won the Chiefs a Super Bowl a few years ago. But here turned into an incredible game-ending play, sending the Bengals to the Super Bowl. This performance by the defense and entire team was truly shocking and an upset that will never be forgotten. After the Chiefs played in what I believe is the best game I've ever seen against the Bills, their offense was back. Like, without a doubt, and that's what it looks like through the first half against Cincinnati. But the strategy, adjustments, and perseverance of what turned out to be the David to the Chiefs' Goliath was something that will go down in history. The Bengals' ability to take their game plan and continue to tweak it throughout the game is a testament to not only their coaching staff, but also every one of the players on this team. Wilson, Hubbard, Bates, Bell, Hilton, and Hendrickson aren't the flashiest or most talented players in the league, but they didn't need to be flashy superstars to win. They overcame an incredible offense as a team. The Bengals' magical ride is just one win away from becoming even magicaler, and this team has the feel of past Davids who eventually went on to become Goliaths. The Cincinnati Bengals are headed to the Super Bowl, and after this win, they can do anything.